Hello and welcome back to Ms. McGee's Critical Thinking and Analysis online class at Fremont College. Today we're going to be reviewing Chapter 7, which Chapter 7 is about evaluations. We've talked about inferences and we've talked about opinions. Now we're going to look at evaluations. So what does it mean to evaluate something? It means to judge, to appraise, to estimate, or value. Most of the times, or many times when we think of evaluation, we may think of a work setting where we get a yearly evaluation. And we all understand that that means that we're being reviewed for how we did for that year. So evaluation in critical thinking is similar to evaluation of a job performance. The main difference is sometimes we as human beings have a tendency to make what we call a snap judgment. And that's an evaluation. We see a situation and right away we make a judgment about it without knowing all the facts. One good example would be, say your sister has met a new guy and she's very interested in this guy, but this guy doesn't have a job and he doesn't have a place to live as far as you know. We may make a snap judgment. We may evaluate him to be maybe a bum. But we're saying that without knowing the true facts. The facts may be that he has a house that he's getting ready to move into and a car that he's going to buy the next day. So we have to be careful that our snap judgments or immediate reactions or evaluations are backed up with facts. But of course, it's human nature that we all do this. Evaluations are not facts. That's another thing to keep in mind. They're just snap judgments until we know the facts to back up what we think, what we're judging. Expectations, what we expect, often influence our evaluations. To use the example of your sister's friend, maybe we expect that she would be with somebody that drives a fancy car or has a big house. And since that's not the case, we've judged him to be a bum or homeless or something like that. So evaluations have a lot to do with what we expect of situations. Expectations influence our evaluations. However, a skilled use of evaluations, people who are able to make judgments after many years of study or experience, those are called experts. And they are able to judge a situation, evaluate a situation clearly because they've done it before many, many times. So they know what to expect. Then they know their expectations will be probably pretty close to what the facts are. Evaluation also plays into propaganda. Because many times, oftentimes, there's hidden evaluations. And the book does a very excellent job of talking about propaganda in regards to advertising. Now, you know, that's my world, advertising and journalism and newspapers, and how advertising, the book calls it hypnotizes us by repeating certain words, phrases, images that stick in our mind, so it shapes the way we see a situation or a product. My example that I like to use, it's so popular and we see it all the time, is the Geico commercial where it says, "So easy a caveman can do it." And so we all know that. When we see that commercial coming with the caveman looking fellows, so easy a caveman can do it, so easy a caveman can do it. These words are repeated and they seep into our subconscious according to the book, and we've made a value judgment or an evaluation of Geico that it's easy. It doesn't really say what's easy about Geico, but that's the beauty or the mystery of propaganda and shaping our evaluations. The other Geico commercial that goes along the same lines is Gecko. They use a character called a gecko to remind us of Geico. So every time we see this little gecko and he's in different situations, we think of Geico insurance. So that is the power of advertising. Many of us feel like maybe we're not influenced by advertising, but we all are on some level. The book also describes how public relations firms today are used heavily, massively in political campaigns. Every politician running for office wants to shape how people see them. They want to shape their image. They want to shape how people judge them. So they hire big, expensive consulting firms and public relations firms to help them shape their image. It can be anything from, how his wife may look or her husband may look, or where they live or where they went to school. All this comes into play to psychologically shape how we view a candidate and how we'll view his administration should he be elected. So it's a very powerful tool. The book uses the word propaganda, and propaganda tends to have a negative connotation. However, we all are influenced by propaganda on some level, one way or the other. Now remember, for our e-cafes, we have some really good discussions, and I really want to see everybody post. And remember, if somebody posts to you, you respond to 2 people, and really keep the discussion going. For e-cafe for this particular lesson is share an example of situations where you changed your initial evaluation. That's one thing about snap judgments or evaluations. We can change them. They're not always permanent. Take example of your sister's boyfriend. Maybe once we find out that he is actually a high-priced executive going to start a new job, our initial evaluation of him will change. Whereas opinions and beliefs tend to remain steady over time, evaluation snap judgments will change as we gather more information, as we gather more facts. So you think about a time that happened to you where your initial impression was not what you ended up thinking, or vice versa. Maybe it was positive at first and it came to be negative after more facts were revealed, or maybe you had a negative impression at first and it came to be revealed as positive as time went on. Explain how it occurred. Explain why it is difficult for us to make a fair evaluation. That's one of the e-cafe discussions. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. The other discussion is expectations. As we talked about, our expectations shape our evaluations. They shape our judgments of people, places, and things. So you describe, in this discussion thread, describe an instance in which expectations influenced your perceptions and evaluations. That can be anything. Maybe a person that you met, or maybe a job that you had. That can be anything. What changes could you have made in your expectations, and what effect would they have had on your evaluation? Expectations, they tend to get us in trouble. When we expect certain things of people or situations, and they don't come that we expected them to, sometimes we can feel disappointed. They can let us down. But what I say is you have to manage your expectations. You can't think too high, or you can't think too low. You have to manage your expectations so that you can create a solid evaluation of the situation. Now, the assignment, and remember, you're posting your assignments online. Just go up to the Dropbox and post your assignments. Now, this one for this particular chapter is Al Franken, and I think we all know who that is, and he's been recently elected senator, I believe, from Minnesota. But he used to be on Saturday Night Live. So many people feel like maybe, our initial evaluation of him was that him as a funny guy may not be what's the fact now, because he is a very important man. He's in the U.S. Senate. So after reading the article about Al Franken, what expectations do you think people might have had of him? First, as a comedian, and then secondly, as a member of the Senate. And do people really think that a comedian can become a senator? Do people believe that an action hero can become a governor? Do people believe that an actor can become president? So you know where I'm going with this. What effect might these expectations have on his evaluation as senator? What effect might expectations, maybe from fellow senators, maybe from the people that he's going to be dealing with in Congress, will they look at him and think, that's Al Franken, the comedian? Or will their expectations be that now that he's been elected senator, he will be, the professional that he is meant to be? Lastly, what other factors might affect his evaluation as a senator? What other factors would affect how people view him as a senator? Just as an example, he may do really well at fundraising. We all know that's very important for politicians to be able to raise money for future campaigns and different events. He may be good at writing bills. He may be good at that. He may be good at pitching in committees. So once he does those things, then chances are evaluations of him would change. But maybe not. Maybe people will always have focused in their mind that he's a comedian from Saturday Night Live. So that is Chapter 7. It's evaluations. The book does a very excellent job. If you want a definition of evaluations, I said it, but just go back on page 197 and read that again of what an evaluation is. Look at some of the very good pictures in the chapter, and you'll have a really solid understanding of it. So I will see you again later. Chapter 8. Bye.